Hey, sorry. I don't know what happened earlier, but I took a break. Yeah, what the heck? What the heck? So, tango hombre. I wonder what tango means. Tango. Oh, I see the problem. It's right here is the problem. So if I move this over a bit, I guess there's no problem. Rich Fizz, that's great. I think that's great. It's starting in the green right now. Your good luck. Last trade 5 funds 600. It's 235. I mean, there's always tango equals I have. Tango. I have hunger. Hey, Paul. So I don't know what the WTF is for. If it was for my mooning backwards, I apologize. If it was for my question to Ham, I don't know. I'm not that apologetic about my question to him because a lot of you, and I think it's important to know, the GTII is not going to sell you guys out like COSM did. It's just not going to. And I figured you need to hear it from somebody more credible than myself because I've said it so often. And anyway, all right, I want to show you something before we get too far into questions. I want to show you something. Oh, I don't want to show you any of that. Don't want to show you any of that. And I go like, I go like this. Go to media, video and photo. I go here, add, and then I go here. All right. What, Ramiro? Hang on. Ramiro, what? Okay, Ramiro, I will. I was thinking about that. Yeah, there's news on CRTD today. Originally, somebody recommended that I make David. There were two people, I don't remember who, that vouched for him. Yeah, there's great news today on CRTD. Of course, they sell the stock off. But anyway, I don't know what moderators do, and I appreciate the help they give, but I think early on in this process, I had difficulty sometimes handling, the shills and the shorts. But I think I'm all right with it now. Any guy that can come down with a cup of coffee and his zipper down should be able to handle the negativity. So I at this point, I don't see why anybody's blocked at all. I don't think anyone should be blocked. If it hasn't been clear, I speak my mind, and many times I'm wrong, but I don't mind people speaking their mind back to me. I really don't. I'm not Hillary Clinton. I'm not the woke left. I don't mind criticism if it's done in the spirit of moving common knowledge down the road, common respect down the road. If it's just done to be mean or be a jerk, I don't like that. But I think we have a pretty good group of people. I just wanted to show Yeah, I want to show you something before we get off into talking. And let me know if Ham's having a call today. I just want to show you guys this because you're all young. I'm like Bob Dylan. They asked him what he wanted, and he looked in the audience and he just says, I want 20 years back. I know the feeling. Anyway, I was young. Don't get me wrong, I was young. But if you go at the bottom of this page, this is interest rates. And you go from 1975 to 79, you see how high interest rates went. Now, I can't, the political guy in me can't help but tell you, Jimmy Carter was president from 1976 to 1980, and he appointed Paul Volcker. Paul Volcker raised interest rates, not Ronald Reagan. Well, I'll get to that. Reagan was then, if you see that, 80 to 84. Reagan came in and he put pressure on Volcker to drop rates, and I think Volcker succumbed, and all the other data went crazy. So Volcker had to raise rates under Reagan massively because of Reagan's mistake. And everyone gives credit to Reagan. In fact, Reagan did reappoint Volcker, but Reagan's initial instincts made inflation get worse, stagflation get worse, and it meant that Volcker had to redouble his efforts to correct for Reagan's political instincts. But anyway, the point of this chart is to show you that on the government bond, it went up to 16% in approximately, I'm going to say 82. It's hard to tell on this chart, but I'm going to say 82. 1, 2, 3, maybe 83. So all of you, every single one of you, except some of you that are older than I am, you've lived in a time of declining interest rates. Yes, from time to time, there's a sharp correction. But in general, since 1980, 82, until 2022, interest rates have gone steadily downward. And even I can see a trend line there. But Avid or Ace in the Hole or ARCA could draw a channel there from about 85 to 21 anyway, maybe 22, that is bound by the lows and by the highs in that channel. What you can clearly see recently, Powell raised interest rates above that channel. And I just want you to know that happened. I expect, and again, I can always be wrong, but I think from what I read, there's a massive amount of short positions, real shorts, and illegal ones probably, in government securities. So my guess is there'll be short covering, which will drive interest rates downward closer to the top of that trend line sometime in the next months. But don't be fooled. Interest rates, in my judgment, are not going to go back to a downward trend. They're going to snap back once they test maybe that resistance line that has become support. I think interest rates, even if they may not do that, I'm just saying it might happen. But interest rates, even if they just stay here or work their way somewhat higher, we still have negative real rates when you look at inflation. All I'm trying to tell you is the life you've lived is going to change. The next decade is not going to be your father's Oldsmobile. It's not. And if you know the reference I'm making, you remember higher interest rates. That's all I wanted to say. It's when we get through this trade, you're going to have to think of different ways of investing it. And if you can figure out a trend, like the trend of the To have the breeze behind your back, you'll be wealthy and secure. I'm not telling you I know what that trend is yet. Well, I think I know what it is, but I'm not telling you because it's off topic at this point. So we're now 234 to 237. We're heading to NERP, the new economic policy. Oh no, that was NEP. NERP. NERP. Is this some sort of loosening? NERP. Oh, NIRP. Well, that's S. Minnow Johnson, SS Minnow. I don't know if you're related to Enormous Johnson. Johnson's Enormous, who's on here. But I read in that article, if I'm remembering correctly, that the median price for homes at the beginning of that period was $70,000. Today, depending, just in the last few months, it's gone downward. But I think the median price of homes peaked recently somewhere around $450,000. Negative interest rate policy. I think we've already had it, yo. But yo, I don't know where you're from. Because yo could be anywhere. But I met for a friend of mine introduced me, but I met a really senior bond trader, bond analyst out of Italy in about, I'd say 7 years ago. She was in town. She was in town for an IMF meeting, and we met at the Ritz, and we had a small repast and I think she had tea and I had a wine or something. But we talked. She now runs her own fund, and she's extremely well known in Italy anyway. Manages fixed income on a big scale. But anyway, she told me way back then something I never forgot. She said that we were going to have negative interest rates. She said that interest rates were going to go a lot lower in the Western world. And what she said I never forgot is they, being the bankers, test policies in Japan, in Tokyo first. Then it goes to London and then comes to New York. Never forgot that. Because sure enough, interest rates went negative in Japan. They went negative in Europe and here. But yo, we do have negative interest rates right now. I think the federal funds rate is something like 5%. It might be slightly below it. And what they announce and what it actually is dependent on open market operations and perceptions. But if you call it 5%, and if you call our inflation 8%, although some people say our inflation is much higher, we have negative 3% interest rates in the United States right now. All right, Jesse Cox, where can I find the CHIF of OTC markets statement? Let me look at a chart of GTII. I looked at it while I let me see. I need a window to look at. Where can I find that statement? Pancakes with ZERP. Very funny, Eddie Eagle. Tony from Market Moves. Okay, I'll look for it, Jesse Cox. Tony from Market Moves. Tony from Market Moves. I'm going to try to look at a chart for, well, I have a small chart. This is going to take too long. All right, here it comes. Let me know if Ham's having a call. I'll put it up. I think GTII is going to close. I also want, somebody asked me to bring up the news on CRTD. So slow. That spinning wheel. Are you guys still there? You already saw my small chart. Very funny, Derek Edelman. Last time I'm talking to you, Derek Edelman. Derek the Edelman. It's pretty funny, though. What do you make of GTI press release? Yeah, I can, yo. All right. Yes, the chart on GTII that I see, I wish this chart were over here so I didn't have to turn my head that way and you could see my big proboscis. Proboscis? Proboscis. They tried to get this down below 2, which is predictable. And right now they're trying to get it down below there's a gap. Somewhere between 190 and 205 is previous action when it gapped down. But there's a gap that we're at the bottom of, well, we're at the top of the gap right now, but we're at the bottom. That's hard for me to explain it. But the 2 or 3 days when it went down, then gapped, we're at the bottom of that drop. So now we're going to climb back up. And I don't know if we'll go in the green. Yeah, I think we could go in the green. Yes. Looking at the chart, we could go in the green today. But if it doesn't happen today, it'll happen soon and for the rest of your life. Yeah, I can take a ribbing as long as it doesn't involve my charting, my personal charts. All right, then I want to look at the news on CRTD. They announced preliminary results for 2022. Net revenues of nearly 10 million, in line with guidance. Company has greatly strengthened its balance sheet. Tight cost controls and cash flow break even. Reduced marketing. The cost of goods sold was reduced 20%. As you know from your history, Andrew Carnegie, anyway, he emphasizes they're going to do the spinoff. And Frick, I forget Frick's first name, but they were locked in battles together. They didn't like each other. But Andrew Carnegie said, and Frick too, it's all about the price you pay. It's all about the costs of goods sold. You can survive a downturn if you keep your costs of goods low. So that's really good. And now you said on YouTube, somebody named Tony the Tiger on MMTLP. I'll just search by MMTLP. There's so many good people covering MMTLP. So many good people. Oh, Lord. They now have a robot, a bionic robot that can do everything. A female robot that can do everything. Uncle Smokey blew off steam. Sounds like somebody else I know. All right, I don't see this comment about news on MMTLP being announced on some sort of I don't see it. So I got to figure out another place to find it. I'll just go to news. MMTLP. News. News. State Street is doubling down on MMAT stock. Former CEO launches MMTLP stock investigation. 5 investors betting big on MMAT in 2023. I think I'm going down a primrose path. I can't find this. Does she clean too? Well, she doesn't ask you where you were last night, but does everything else. Local Walmart shut down bomb threat. I bet she makes a good sandwich. Yeah. What is going on with BBBY, Jim? I can look up the price. I read over the weekend that in one person's opinion, and it was an article, that when they I would have guessed that it's up, because the article was about how they really screwed up when they got rid of My Pillow. But anyway, they're closing stores. They're selling their Bye Bye Baby, which is getting no bids. They're doing everything to raise cash. So maybe they raised some cash. Maybe they raised some cash. Let me see if they're what the news said. Maybe they got an extension on there. Oh, Nordstrom skyrocketed. Nordstrom skyrocketed. Activist investor Ryan Cohen is taking a large stock position in Nordstrom. So it was up 25%. Citing people familiar with the matter, the Wall Street Journal reported that Cohen was amassing a sizable stake in the upscale department store chain and was also seeking changes to the board. Cohen was also said to be targeting Bed Bath & Beyond CEO Mark Tritton, who has served as a Nordstrom director since 2020. So the targeting there seems to get rid of him rather than anything to do with BBNY. There's this huge short position in BBNY, and it is a meme stock apparently. Fingers now up 2 cents. GTI, Faith Racer, GTII, and CRTD are being... Can't believe how these criminals still short heavily with a spotlight on them. Well, they don't have any other tool. And remember what Ham said on the call today. He said they can't take their foot off the hand grenade. It blows up. So it doesn't matter at what price. Now they're hitting it hard. They're trying to drive GTII down. A lot of red. A lot of red. But it's still 233.5. Well, I think that's right, Jesse. And I'm sure... I just looked at BBNY. It's up 367, 672. Jesse, I think some of what I represent about the failed to delivers in other stocks is probably not a full explanation because I don't know. But the case of GTII, I do know. Only way out is up, Colin. Colin Bomber Harris. And in the right corner, we have Colin Bomber Harris. And in the left corner, we have Colin Bomber Harris. And he's got himself in a double lock. He's got himself... Oh, no. It's a halt. Ah, you're right. 0-0. Wouldn't it be fun? AMC halt. AMC halted. Are you guys suspecting that something odd is going on? That maybe they're halting these to prevent squeezes? I watched a video about AMC in particular over the weekend, and there is a growing sense that that might squeeze. I saw that ARCA is now supporting or coming around to COSM, so I might have to, I didn't listen to it, I might have to change on that. But something is going on. Maybe BBNY is the first one to run. Yes, exactly, cojones. AMC always gets screwed when it goes up. Jesse, that's the question. And Ham said there's only two ways, the gray market or he didn't finish, but you could tell what he was going to say, or they open up trading. I think there might be a third way, which is getting a global settlement, which will be expensive. I'm inclined to think that would happen before the other twos because you would get releases on lawsuits. And the fourth way is just let the lawsuits run. And that is disaster, I think, for everybody involved. I think BBNY is up because shorts. But apparently, AMC, there's news. It's now stopped trading. You're right, 726. But there was some positives on Nordstrom's. So if the group starts to get moving, the group starts to move. Oh, AMC is going to charge more for theater seats, and they've announced a sightline at AMC ticket pricing based on sightlines to the screen. Movie chain and meme stock darling. They call it meme stock. That ridicules you. It ridicules you. BBY does, no, it just opened and it's going down. Thank you very much, Dave M. It's not down much. It's now coming back. But they started the trading And it came down. Now the bid's going back up. So you're probably right. It could be the runner. It's up 342, 650. And as I'm saying it, maybe that's up from when it was stopped trading. It's all I'm saying is I saw it open and go down. Maybe it opened higher than where it closed. I don't know. Anyway, it's 662 now. It's going up. So Dave M is right. AMC hasn't traded yet. It's 200 million shares on BBBNY. And do you think that while it was closed, the shorts weren't communicating with each other? They went down to Harry's bar and, like furtive drug users went into the men's room and shared some codes. It's 201 million shares right now. Now AMC opened trading, and it's up. It's 713 to 714, 45 million shares. Wouldn't it be something if AMC finally, they lost control of it? The environment for banks is really bad. Credit Suisse is in trouble, apparently. So maybe, maybe. GTII is lagging a bit. It's at 221. Fingers now in the red. CRTD is showing its monster side. It's showing its, like Jordan Peters says, you can't be great unless you're a monster. It's a monster today. 0.0298. It's 1 million shares. It's up almost 3 cents on the day. RTD. Can I get a witness? 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 I know Dave M. All these stocks are annoying. That's what they want. And that's the real question is, at what point do you question yourself out of a trade that's real? Or at what point are you the only one making sense? Yes, Fahad, I think GTI on CRTD soon. Black Wolf, I think CRTD needs to open at 120 one morning and everyone will get their how should I say it? Get their thrills on Blueberry Hill. DBMM's down. They're trying to get everything down today. Okay, BBNY, David M was right. I think it was David M. It's up 327, 633. It's not a lot of volume change. It's 204,680,000. We're about to go to 205 right now. 205,621,000. And then AMC is about to go to 50 million. It's going to go to 50 million. It's going to go to 50 million. 50 million. It's at $7.03. It's up 94 cents. It's at 702. 703. 703. Black Wolf. I think it's the great position. 705 is about 707 for AMC. It's not quite, it's going to take a few minutes here. What I think about CRTD is the investors, Ham, and management. Jeremy Frommer is all you need to know on CRTD. But they just announced great financials, and they're going to distribute the OG collection, which if you fully dilute for the S1 is 20 cents a share, but that's pretty pounceable. You're paying 70 cents. You're paying 60 cents, 62 cents. you get 20 cents. So you're only paying a little over 40 cents to get bought out at $2 or have a short squeeze. So you pay 60, you get 20 to buffer your risk, 20 cents in a distribution. So you already have a 20, I don't know what percentage that is. All right, AMC just went to 50 million. GME's, so all your memesters are, yeah, Black Wolf, that's called diversification in the modern world. GTII and CRTD, that's diversification. I'm teasing. I think it's a great strategy. Once one of these hits, you guys can you can listen carefully to him, to Avid, to Arca, to guys like Ace in the Hole, guys like, I'm glad he brought on Dirty Mayo today. Listen to guys like this. They'll give you plenty of ideas, but when you have a nest, I don't know what to call it, a block of money, you can take a little bit in every one. But when you're trying to create that nest egg, that wealth, I think you have to concentrate your positions a little bit, because that's how wealth is created, is if you think about it. Okay, so it's 2:23. It's kind of frustrating. Songwei, they didn't really. They pre-released their earnings and they were in line with guidance. They announced that they're cutting costs and their cost of goods sold is down. So this is all good. This is all really good information. And yes, I think it'll help it move. But the shorts, whenever there's good news, they have crack research teams that can speed read any announcement and quickly cross-reference it against industry metrics and other companies, and they decide it's always negative. Good news is negative, bad news is negative, no news is negative to the shorts. But absolutely, it's great news on CRTD. Absolutely great news. And he reaffirmed in there that they're going to distribute the OG collection, as I read it. So yeah, it's great news for CRTD. But they're keeping it down just so you wonder. Just so you wonder. It's better than earlier. Was it because I was being, what's the word? I can't think. You know, when you expose yourself? Anyway. Well, is it 3:30 yet? No, it's past it.
Welcome and thank you for choosing free. If you are the host, press star
No
now.
call. Just checking to make sure. No call. No call. Finally, hearing all of this is tiring. You give us about the audit and it never come, no press release. Well, Thon Lee, I can only tell you that the press release regarding, you're talking about the audit, is predicated on receiving the audit first. And the audit was promised as an expected deadline before the end of the year, 2022. So they made, you can check the news stories, but they engaged the auditor. This is Wildfire Media engaged a third-party auditor in September. GTII announced it in September, saying that the indications were the audit would be completed by the end of the year, 2022. GTII reaffirmed at least 2 more times in press releases that they spoke with Wildfire Media and that the audit was on track and on pace. And GTI made those references in at least 2 additional press releases before the end of the year. Well, the end of the year came, and clearly the audit was not finished. Now, this is third party. No one at GTII can control it. I can't control it. I don't even know who to call at the audit and say, hey, Thon Lee's upset that it's not finished. Could we get some action here? Come on, andale, andale, andale. Davai. But instead, in January, I think it was January 7th or 8th, they being GTII, received notice in writing, and they made a press release stating that the auditors remained on track and saw no issue, how was it worded? Expected again to be finished by the end of January. That's a press release made by GTII based on written notification they received either directly from the auditors or via Wildfire Media. Well, here we are on the first Monday of February, the first long weekend, over the weekend, and it's the first Monday in February. And if you guess that, maybe an auditor might have gotten ill, an auditor might have been assigned to a different task, the auditors may have finished but wanted to review their work carefully before they sent it, that the most likely thing is if they're reasonably on time, they're a little bit delayed. And I'm sure you've never been late in any work you've worked on, Thon Lee, in your life. You've always finished everything you said you would do on time. Well, here is a group that's being caught out that they haven't finished really on time. However, if they were to finish by the end of January, and January ran to Tuesday of a week, it might be that they took that week to finish, so that maybe GTII received the report, the audit. Maybe Wildfire gets it first and it's on its way to GTII over this past weekend or this week. If it happens and it's a good audit, it's the last thing that's necessary for the merger with 1-800-LAW FIRM. But Thon Lee, if you want immediate action from lawyers or auditors, or a busy waitress at a diner, I just think you're in the wrong stock. And the stock right now is $223. If you're tired of waiting for the audit, I would, consider getting out of it, and you could move on to a stock that just announced news. It does not have an audit pending, CRTD. Or you could go over to BBBY seems to be running. I wouldn't buy it, but it's running. It's action if you want action. DBMM is down to 0.0181. And if GTII squeezes, almost certainly DBMM will move in sympathy. There's Finger that's a good long-term hold. There's a number of stocks there that you could move your money out of GTII if you're impatient for waiting for the auditors. I know it's tiring. Relieve yourself of that. Just get out. Just get out. It's had a nice run, and just move on. Then you don't have to wait anymore. I'm sure one of the stocks that might be recommended soon might be CNLV. Maybe you go over there. Maybe you go to GNC. They just joined the fight, and they're running up. Go to Logic, I believe in. That's a great story. Maybe you go there. You could go into HNRC, which is at 12 cents. You go there. But if you're tired of waiting for the audit, very little for me to do to speed it up, very little for GTI to do to speed up. So if your pressure point, Thon Lee, is waiting for the audit, maybe your time's up. You waited through the end of the year and you found out that it was bullshit. You waited through the end of January and it's more bullshit. So you gave yourself 2 deadlines and the audit didn't get finished. So get out of the stock. Just get out. Don't wait anymore. Stop waiting. Just get out. There's several. I would say there's 8 or 9 stocks. Wolf. Ham put a couple more on his list. He said MULN, the CEO, is joining the fight. There's several other companies out there that you can wait on their promises, and then you won't be impatient, Thon Lee. Just get out of the stock. I can't promise you when the audit's going to be done. All I can tell you is what they've announced. I can explain to you that auditors work at their own pace, and I can explain to you that it's a third-party audit. But you're right. I think you are to be commended, absolutely commended for waiting. I know it was difficult to do because we all had to do it. You waited through the end of the year, and the stock was under short attack after everybody moved over to COSM and maybe Alpine hired some shorts. So it was difficult to wait, Thon Lee, to wait till the end of the year for the audit, and it didn't come. That's a massive disappointment. I agree with you. And then they immediately got our hopes up that it'd be finished in January. And here it is, February 5th, and it's not finished. It's a terrible thing, terrible thing. It's really tiring to wait that long. So should you be a fool and wait a third time? I don't think so in your case, Thon Lee. Just get out. 225. It went as low as 202 this morning. Get out at 225. And, there's MULN. There's the one that Hamilton does, GNS. There's CRTD. There's FNGR. There's DBMM. There's these other meme stocks, as they call them. There's LGIQ. There's GNS. There's COSM. Apparently that's about to turn. So, Thon Lee, there's a ton of alternatives. Well, Richard Onen, exactly. And not only that, they have to write up, and it goes through lawyers. They have to write up a press release. And on boards I've been on, I've seen press releases take a week. I've seen press releases take longer as each person has their input in the press release. And then you get the board to vote on it. So it could already be finished. it's going lower. Maybe I got set off. You might be right, cryptic trader. I'm not budging. Didn't jump on Cosmo. Not about now. I'm not telling you to go into Cosmo. Maybe try GFYM. Well, I mean, I can give an example myself. I don't know. It wasn't big. But I sold, a few hundred shares. Enough, painful, to buy, of GTII, to buy CRTD 2 weeks ago. Because I was sure I might be the first one to go. And like an idiot, I was wrong. Don't budge. That's it, Bob L. That's it. They only care about money. Am I going to bite your kneecaps off? Do they come with barbecue sauce? $3.32 is very... Well, Greg, I agree, but I'm hopeful that it's not going to be a long haul. 'Tis only a flesh wound. No, don't. I'm not leaving GTII for another play. I've been in it for 2 years. Let me see. What's my zodiac sign? Easily set off. Is that what you're thinking? Are you thinking it's easily set off? Is that your thoughts? Easily set off. Well, logic, what I know about logic right now is, oh, you're curious? Well, stand and deliver. Do you mean the African swallow or the Asian swallow? Ah. Dan M., you're right. We've been here before, but it's low. Oh, actually the volume's picked up a little bit. It's 2,180,000. But there's a lot of green on my screen. Now there's only one green. But the rest, but the arrows, the ticks are all up. I don't know why they give a green, bold green line sometimes, but the arrows are all up. So they haven't won this war yet. They haven't won this war yet. Yeah, that's free speech. It would be critical. It would be hypocritical of me, since I exercise my right to say my thoughts. It'd be hypocritical if I didn't listen to yours. And how can you correct my thoughts if I'm wrong? Can't carry a 2-pound coconut. Yeah, no, that's right, Dan M. I think on the daily chart, this is all good. And if we don't close in the green today, which doesn't look like we're going to, they're trying to get it down to trigger something, but I don't think they're going to be successful. And it's broken. It has not broken the uptrend. This doesn't trouble me at all. For recent volume, the volume's down compared to recent volume. And I'll wait till it closes, then I'll look at the chart. Yeah, I think GTI will run when it runs, and I think it's going to run soon. But if it doesn't, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. As Ham said on the call, he explained, and I won't bore you again, but he explained the reason why it was the best setup he's ever seen. And those reasons haven't gone away. And the fact that these guys keep driving it lower, they always want lower prices, as Ham says, that shows their desperation. Yeah, that's it, Cryptic. They want to get it to close below the new support. But I don't think even if it closes below it, it's going to do any damage. Yeah, the charts don't lie. $3 is a pressure point. It might have more to do with 275, but I agree. I think they're shorting it. Lou, Gueda. I don't see crosses on the trades, but then again, I might not see them. They might get printed afterward. But there's no question they manipulate this. It goes up and comes down so they can cross trades, which is illegal. And just one guy books 15 cents a share. I'm making it up, 10 cents a share for his efforts for the day. And tomorrow it'll be another guy. And they're all guys. Women wouldn't crime like this. 3,500, 3,400. It's green, showing green. 221. Is it, we got one more minute. 100 shares, 100 shares. There's 225 for 100, 100, 100. If you did that, you'd get, here they sold 100. You would get, your account would be closed. They're trying to drive it down. Somebody just sold 600 and then 1422, then 2,500. That's the close. 227. 2,000 sold 2,500 at 223, and then somebody sold 1,400 at 219 with less than 10, with 6 seconds to go. It actually closed at 227. It's unbelievable. Here, let me just tell him. So they actually drove it, tried to drive it downward. 219 with 6 seconds to go. 219 with 6 seconds to go for 2,500 shares, and that's not manipulation. That's illegal. But if you went in and bought 100 shares at the close, they'd shut down your account. Or first time you did it, they'd give you a restriction. Second time, they'd probably close your account. Unbelievable. Wizard gray balls. Thank you. I guess if you don't laugh at yourself, there's nothing to laugh about. I still didn't hear what I looked. I don't know if you were just fooling with me, if there was actually news on MMTLP. Wow, David Lee, that's good for you. Your trading system, because you do well on a lot of these on a lot of these moves. I didn't buy BBY. I didn't buy COSM. Is it up, Woody? Is it up? ARCA said that COSM was looking like it could go bullish. Yep. 543. Cookie face, blue smiling. Nick, I don't know anything about the audit, but I just said it to Thon Lee. I said it, somebody said I got set off, so I'll say it more calmly. But basically, the audit is third party. It's of Wildfire, not of GTII. And obviously, we all know that it was expected at the end of the year. Then they put in writing that it'd be done by the end of the month. Well, if we're reasonable about things, the end of the month was last week. This is the first day of this week. So, you know, at the risk of being optimistic, it could just be that they got it and they're going to put a press release out soon, or they got it today or something. One guy just said he's really tired of waiting for it. So I just said, well, there's other stocks here. That's the good thing. You can get out of GTII, and there's several stocks that you can get into if you're tired of waiting for GTII. I don't advise it because I think GTII, as Ham enumerated today on the space call, it's the best setup he's ever seen, and there's reasons for it. So I don't advise getting out, but, you know, everybody's got to make their own decisions. And right now, there's enough other cheap situations that you can go get maybe quicker action in. I don't know. Well, that's what happened to me, Samaya Lee. I had some COSM, and I don't know what that translates. $2, $5. No, $2 would be, I can't figure it out. Anyway, I basically broke even in it, and then it went to, I think $23 was like 80 cents. So I missed out on that. K-Bo, I've been looking all day and over the weekend on HNRC, and I can't explain why it would take so long for that distribution. They reaffirmed it in a letter. I went to the SEC site, and they don't have anything under HNRC. So I'm obviously, and I used WDIC. I obviously don't know how to find the SEC information. But the only thing I can think is maybe FINRA's been paralyzed by the MMTLP, that they just have slowed down in their approval process. But I don't expect any trouble with that. Hey, Al Jolie. Because they don't have it? Well, that's it, Nick Jeff. And I'm a baseball fan. Even worse, I was a Senators fan, so you just you get used to saying, well, there's always next year. And then I'm a Nationals fan now, and the Nationals won, and then COVID comes. And so there was no celebration. It's like, wait till next time. All right, so somebody asked me about Logic. Logic's 33 cents. They're still working on these two. They're going to merge into the SPAC, and then the SPAC is going to de-SPAC into Data Logic, and then that leaves a shell company, which immediately is acquiring this unnamed asset manager. Combined, when that happens, both of those are going to start at somewhere around $3 to $3.50 in projected value. It's $2 to $2.50 on the one and 50 cents on the other. And maybe hard, but that's where they start. In the case of Data Logic, they already have, if you read between the press releases, they already have the next logical merger candidate in MediaGel, which they released an agreement with, and one of the senior guys joined what'll be Data Logic, unless they change the name. So it's clear that they're going to move on this strategy of accumulating, rolling up additional revenues and earnings. And combined, they're anticipating exiting 2023 with over $100 million in revenue. And if you look at moderate metrics, what I remember is that means, $8, $10, $12 a share. But in the short run, Logic is going to distribute in the form of it's going to go into the SPAC, and then the shell takes over this unannounced, it's in the press, but they haven't given the name of it, this asset management company that's meant to be 50 cents a share on the distribution. So the stock is trading below just part of the distribution at 50 cents. And then there's $2 and $2.50 as the projected value on the SPAC. There is a overhang in Logic from the Ionic financing, and apparently the company is close to finding an investor to take out the remaining 1.3 million, that's an estimate, shares of Ionic. And you saw what happened last time. Once those are gone, it goes to 80 cents really easily, maybe higher. On top of that, Logic owns 10% of GoLogic. And I don't want to take the time to do the arithmetic, but what I remember is that's worth about 26 cents a share to Logic at that price. Obviously, those prices, everything can change and move it around. But with Logic trading at 33 cents, one could argue that it's close enough for government work. Just the ownership of GoLogic is represented by the 33 cents. The intrinsic value and maybe a little bit of time premium. And the rest of the company, everything else is for free. One could argue. Who's this? Scott Scheller, FINRA afraid to open Pandora's box. Big hurt on market makers and people who pay them. Look, I think we have to stop using Wall Street's description of themselves. These market makers, and you're right, that's what they're called, they're not there as market makers. They're not maintaining an orderly market. They're not in there as a bulwark against movement there to facilitate the criminality and the fraud. But they're also basically disposable. Have you ever been into a bar that looks great, and then you look up on the behind the bar and there's one bottle of vodka and one bottle of whatever and whatever, and if one runs out, he goes in the storeroom. They set up bars like that so that if the bill collectors come and shut down the bar, they don't have any inventory to lose. And that's how these market makers are. When they get shut down and run in trouble, they're in LLC form, they'll just run away. And the symbol, they'll come up with a similar symbol, or they'll even buy the symbol out of bankruptcy. So I don't think FINRA's worried about hurting the market makers. Those rats will run away anyway. I don't think FINRA's smart enough. I don't think the individual people in FINRA, smart's the wrong word. They're smart. They're plenty smart. I don't think they're aware enough of how big the problem is. And even if MMTLP presents this massive problem, they're going to go back to the view that the computers are not showing any problems, and this is just a meme stock. This is just a one-off. And we can continue business as usual. So now I don't think FINRA is afraid of, I don't think FINRA is afraid of what's going to happen. I think it's going to take having to bust out one of these things. Now, in the case of MMTLP, the problem's big enough that FINRA might be afraid there. Master of the inverse Kramer. That's great. West Virginia, Nick Jeff, $3 could be where the computers, because I think the computers are running some of these shorts right now. $3 might be where the buy-ins, self-imposed stop loss orders are, because the real shorts manage risk. So you could be right. West Virginia, I think $5 on GTII this month. To me, and of course I'm a big dreamer, I guess, because I've been wrong for almost 2 years. Not always wrong, but I think if the GTI, anything that gets it to $5, to me, will get it to 15. Anything that gets it to 15 will get it, you know, I don't know, pick a number. Get it to 21, get it to 55, get it to, I don't know, 84. So my point is, combining both of your comments, there's a number at which the opportunistic jackal hyena shorts run away. And then all that's left is the Kurt Kramer bomb of a position. And either Alpine or the regulatory agencies have to buy it back in. I don't know where the trigger of the buy-in happens, but I think those shorts who desperately want to cover, and we got to look, I forget when Ham said the real short comes out. It might be tomorrow night. If that real short's over 1 million shares and they start losing money, they'll want to cover. And remember, all of these opportunistic extra shorts, the criminals, whether it's Alpine or Kramer, have promised to backstop. And that'll only last as long as their credit's any good. So over 3, over 4, over 5, I don't know who's going to come in and sell. But we have to be consistent. there is more room. But anyway, I think if it gets to 5 West Virginia, it's going much higher. According to Tony of Market Moves, FINRA has said they will be issuing a statement on that. That's great news. That is great news. That is great news, M. Casey. I don't know how to find it, but I'll look for it. Perhaps. I don't know how to find it. Raymundo. Victor, I hate lawsuits. As well, mainly because it's time. To me, the shorts, given time, just like when we gave them time to move into COSM, just like time was given to Fidelity once the price fell below 275. Time cures everything for the shorts. You'd like to think it was different, as my grandmother used to say. Time wounds, all heals. Would you say you have more wins than Lou? Me? Oh no, David. All right, I'll find Tony. I think I subscribe to him on both platforms. So if he's putting that out there, maybe we'll get something tonight. That would be really exciting. Market Moves with Tony. Tony Tits. You didn't mean Tony Tits. Eddie Eagle, $3 and it's a done deal. Brenda and Ella, fun investors. Good to see you again. I knew you made a mistypo, but it was too delicious to leave off. I think you're right, Eddie Eagle. That's what I would bet. Matt, I love all this dry wit. Lean to spell. So I gave you my lesson on interest rates because I want you to realize that the last 40 years, I have no idea if it's unique in all of history, but I will say this, the lifetime. And so you got to start thinking what's going to change. And you know what I'd like to kick off your decision with? A huge win in GTII, CRTD, or any of the others, any of them. Some of them I might be wrong on, like I've mentioned, I'm not going to mention. I mean, the ones that I've been negative on, I might be wrong on. Son, I think that's right. I don't know. Well, that's interesting. I'm seeing CRTD down. They must have traded it down afterward, right? Let me look. Yeah, after the market closed, they traded it down. They sold 1,000 shares. Well, it's probably trades that happened during the day. But at 6:18 They sold 1,000 shares at 57. At 619.24, they sold 1,000 shares, or reported 1,000 shares at 57.56. It looks like those two might have crossed. But it closed at 1559.54 on 10,400 shares at 63 cents. So that was pretty good. Hey, Shark Girl. You're welcome here to be, Shark Girl. You're welcome to be here. I'll find Tony, Tony 2 hits. Well, you guys, it's saying, okay, I guess it's back now. You guys, as these numbers get big for the losses, for example, even at 224, now Ham used a price of 75 cents for Kurt Kramer and the other ancillary shorts. I actually think it's lower than that, but if you use 75 cents and a close of 225, that's $1.50 times, let's just say 300 million. That's $400 million in losses for GTII, for the Kramers, for Alpine. And it hasn't ever gotten better. They haven't been able to drive it down to palatable. And perhaps they have that much money in their accounts. But at some point, they're still going to have margin calls. They're going to have collateral calls. They got to carry that position. So my point is, don't trust everything. I noticed it in the MMTLP chat rooms. To me, there were some people that, I'm not saying they were bad, but some of the points being made, let me say it differently. You have all the information you need, particularly if you listen to Ham today, and you can find it on my earlier call, to make your decision in GTII, to make your decision in CRTD. You made your decision in MMTLP, which I think was a good one. But all these other people are trying to shake you out. And unless the story changes, unless there is definitive proof the story has changed, don't let the emotions of these fudsters shake you out. And I just don't think you can trust everybody that hops on. And there's a couple of people that are now using the megaphone that I don't trust. And is it because I'm an asshole? Maybe. But to me, the stocks to focus on to make money right now, GTII, CRTD, Finger, Wolf, Logic, that's one I recommend. DBMM, and there might be 2 or 3 others. But to get really swung out and diffuse our capital, like what happened with COSM, that's what I'm against. Whatever it is, I'm against it. 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 That is from yeah, you think this music makes me seem like I'm an old DCC, that's a very smart thing. A vet told me that. I think I told you the story. A beautiful vet from Italy told me differently. She said it differently. She said that cruelty comes with intelligence, and her point was that only mankind. Yeah, talkies later. Who is this jerk that's telling me about talkies? Jared. The live today, you can rewind on the previous call and hear it for the most part. I think because of my ineptitude, I got onto the live call late, but I think Ham got on late too. Ham was on fire. He asked a lot of good questions. He was asked a lot of good questions. And yeah, I will address this on. I don't know how to do it. I'm not going to do it right now, but I'll think about how to do it. I wish I don't need anybody to be blocked. I can read everything. I think by now we've gotten to know each other in this community, that any negativity is not going to dissuade us. And yes, once in a while I go off because I'm imperfect, but basically, believe it or not, I'm somebody, even as I'm talking, when I'm set off, or if someone's made me mad, believe it or not, I'm actually trying to listen inside, listen to what they're saying. And later on, it might be the next morning, I go, well, that was a good point. And that's just me. But it doesn't mean I don't, in the moment, fight back on things. And I tend to fight back on two issues as it relates to this. One is I don't want people fudded out of this play for the wrong reasons. Obviously, anybody can leave at any time. Two, I get upset when there's unfair aspersions directed at people that I think have worked really hard to make this work for you. And I get set off, I think, also by just, I don't know what to call it, spoiled brat comments, but we're all able to handle the opposite point of view. All right, I just wish I remembered. The Sting was a great movie. When you watch it now, I don't know that there's a special buy-in, Scott. But I loved the music on Sting. I agree with you. And you watch it now, and both of those men had a lot, Paul Newman and Robert Redford, before he got obsessed with his looks. Both of them were good-looking guys, because most of the time I don't know what makes a good-looking guy, but you can tell that they had something. And the set and all that is kind of fake looking, but it's a good movie. I'm looking at GTII's chart while you look at my nose, and I'd say up tomorrow. And I'd say 275-ish would be where it might have a little, finagling. I don't see much of a reason why it would stop there, though. And then if I had to guess what Ace in the hole said last week is true. I think once it gets through, either tomorrow or the next day, it goes back up through 275. I think it'll go test 350 and maybe settle for a day in the 3 to 325. Then I think we go to 350. And we might be through 350 in one day. It might take 2 or 3 days. But once we're through 350, it's 4, 450, 5, 550, and sayonara, baby. I suppose 550 could be another one of those pauses for the cause, but I think, I tell you what, I wouldn't want to be short this stock. You guys are feasting on technical analysis of candles and Fibonacci. But one thing I was taught, and I studied quite a bit for a while, was Bob Proctor and the Elliott wave theory. And to me, you can count this 1, 2, 3. And this is 4. And the 5, I forget the ratios. But the 5th wave is normally the longest, and that will be up. And then you can have 7. Ultimately, I started to see that the Elliott wave theory could say almost anything you wanted it to say in the backward mirror. All right, so I'm going to show you guys. Yeah, I think Cryptic Trader, Clara Smith. I'll look up Clara Smith. I thought the movie Raindrops Are Falling on My Head. Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid was really good too. What was I looking? Oh, I was going to show you guys something. Oh, that's go like this. Gotta go like this. Gotta go like, nope. Gotta go 1. Nope. And this. Add. Add. Okay. So now I want to put this one up. So I'm sure I'm going to annoy someone, but that's what I thought of today. Of course, that means let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Tulsa King. Are you talking about Emmylou Harris? Emmylou Harris that's a great song. Oh no, that's Tulsa Queen. Tulsa Queen is a great song. All right, then look at this one. Hey, innocents. If Fallout with background music. Well, what else should I? Oh, Lordy. Ziggy. Should I pay Ziggy Pop? Oh, Sly Stallone is good sometimes. I'll look that up, Steve. Sly Stallone is when he played the sheriff in that movie about Boston and he got fat, he was great. I enjoy watching Sly Stallone. I saw him once in London. There were a crowd of people, and we were coming, well, I guess it was flat, but it felt like we were coming over a hill. There's a big crowd, and he was standing there with the doorman. And that's kind of cool. I didn't get that, it was probably the width of a roller and maybe half a roller away. I mean, a car and a half away from him. I was back enough so I could see over the car easily. That's pretty cool. Copland, that's it. He's a pretty good screenwriter. And he's got that, Adrian. He's got it down. Sly's got Sly down. All right, I'm not going to put that one. I was going to put one more up, but I'm not going to do it. It's pretty risky. All right, so Puss in Boots too. Well, he's creative and he has a sense of that, I guess, bygone manhood where you're tough, but you also have a soft spot too. Beyond Rangoon. Beyond Rangoon. That sounds familiar. Let me look that one up. I was flying low over Rangoon one day, and with a rat-a-tat-tat on my machine gun. Yeah, Lou Guido, thank you very much. Great Scott. Yeah, he's like a deep, tough guy. Even though he comes along, maybe not, but he is. He is. I've been thinking about how in life, just mainly because of Novak Djokovic, he's at 375, Novak Djokovic, 375 weeks as number one. Steffi Graf's total, the all-time leader, Steffi Graf, 377. 2 more weeks, and Novak is tied. 3 more weeks, he's in the lead all by himself. And do you know, in COVID and some of the other situation, they took away like 20 weeks. Anyway, we are where we are as life. It's America. But one thing I've been thinking about is how certain people have such difficult childhoods. I'll give you an example. Rudyard Kipling. He was born in the magic of India. I'm trying to remember his parents' names. I don't. Brits. But, there was a party life down in India and things to keep up. So his parents sent him to school in, I don't know, Westchester or someplace. So Rudyard was ripped out of this fantastic world of smells and colors and elephants and camel. I don't know if there's any camels, but just this world. And then the officers club and he's sent to school by himself. And apparently when he went to school, his family, they would beat him, they would punish him, they'd make fun of him, and it was 6 years or more of living hell. And finally, when he was in his teens, they brought him back to India. But this was an awful beginning to his life. And more people you read about that succeed so dramatically, they had a hard beginning. They had a tough beginning. I don't know why I mention all that to you, except that Novak Djokovic grew up in a war zone. And they asked him when he was young how he saw tennis. He said, tennis is my duty. Because it's how, they used to sit, his father, I guess, owned a restaurant, and sometimes they didn't have enough food. And so, anyway, Rodney Dangerfield is my idol. Foreigners come and leave with all the prizes. I don't like Godfather 3. And you know that Peter Griffin didn't like Godfather movies, Godfather 1 or 2. Oh, Peter, how can you say that? It presumes itself. Let me look it up. He did not care for the Godfather.
But since we're all gonna die, there's one more secret I feel I have to share with you. I did not care for the Godfather.
What?
Did not care for the Godfather.
How can you even say that, Dad?
Didn't like it.
Peter, it's so good. It's like the perfect movie.
This is what everyone always says. Whenever they say, oh,
Robert De Niro, Al Pacino. I mean, you never see Robert Duvall.
No, fine actor. Did not like the movie. Why not? Couldn't get into it.
Explain yourself. What didn't you like about
It
it?
insists upon itself, Lois.
What?
It insists upon itself.
What does that even mean?
Because it has a valid point to make. It's insistent. It takes forever getting in. You spend like 6.5 hours, and then I can't even get through. I can't even finish a movie. I've never even seen the ending.
You've never seen the ending?
Well, how can you say you don't like it if you haven't even given it a chance?
I agree with Stewie. It's not really fair.
I have tried on 3 separate occasions to get through it, and I get to the scene where all the guys are sitting around on the easy chairs.
Yeah, it's a great scene. I love that
It's
scene.
not a great
in every annal.
I have no idea what they're talking about. It's like they're speaking a different language. That's where I lose interest and I go away.
They're speaking Italian. The language they're speaking is a language of subtlety, something you don't understand.
I love.
Wow. Bakes. It insists on itself. It insists on itself. Yeah, I took a call. I don't know if anyone's still there. If anyone's still listening. I was on a private call. I see you, DC. I was on a call with a friend from London who I hadn't heard from in a long time, and it was a waste of $2. I'll make it up to you somehow, DC. Anyway, we were talking business and all right. FINRA Ombudsman said it is deleted and will never trade again. It's not their fault. Wow, Herman. Something's got to give. Yeah, he's a long-term dear friend of mine I hadn't spoken to in a while, but we've done a lot of business together too, mainly out of the Middle East. And M. Casey, absolutely. They have to settle it. Whatever, the hardest thing to understand, at least I think, is each individual you're talking to who's under the age of 50, they have no idea what a normal market's meant to be like. And they may say something to you that they think is accurate, but they don't understand the problem. Everything has to be bought back. By another? What do I mean by another? Oh, it has to be settled one way or another. What Ham said is there's two ways. Gray market, and he seemed to imply opening up market trading. So if market trading is it'll just be gray market. And the way Ham's explained it to me before, they'll call you up and they'll say, we have a buyer for your shares at $10. Are you interested? Well, no, I want a higher price. Well, I got to move on, click. And then they'll go to the next and the next and the next. And so then you feel like, oh my God, I missed out on my only chance to get $10. But like someone just said there, it's 1 billion shares. That's a lot of stock. Yeah, I haven't heard. He's a very dear friend, and I hadn't spoken to him. And there would be no way, if I didn't take the call, that I'd ever get him again. So I had to take it. And in London, it's late. It's not like I could call him back later. Yeah, Ham insists, and Ham knows they have to close all those trades. They have to. We too low. We too low. Good afternoon, Key. Still here. Hey, Heavy Chevy. I forget where we were. I know I was playing this Godfather thing, but I thought we were talking about something else. But anyway, I probably should go walk my dog. We can still... What's going on with Citadel? What's going on with Citadel? I haven't heard anything. Southeastern, you need to bear in mind, a lot of these banks, I don't know about Citadel, but I understand Credit Suisse is in trouble with its real estate portfolio. So there's going to come a time when it's tough to... Oh, a big fire? A big fire. They're burning all of their records. They're burning all their records. They're burning all their records. Guys, there's so much crap going on. And people just, these things, back when Walter Cronkite was on the news, people would look into it. But now everyone, oh, well, it's a fire. Let me go back to my TikTok. I know, but he's moved to Miami, whatever's north of Miami, and I'm sure he's got everything he needs, but all the records. So when there's discovery, oh, we had a fire. We can't deliver. We can't show those tickets. We can't show who wrote those tickets. Oh, it's a furniture warehouse. Well, his warehouse, his tickets all got burned outside of, I think, Chicago. Because he had a fire. He had a fire that burned a lot of their records before. Citadel fire on the same day. I like how you think, Buck. Like how you think. Like how you think. I don't know where you can see it. Breckle Street Finance District in Miami. Oh, God. Why people are moving to Miami, the water is coming up from, I don't know. Anyway. Key, I don't know what the glitch was this morning, but my suspicion is because it seemed to be everything for a while, but then other things started trading. So they might have been hiding. I don't know. I'm being conspiratorialist. But they may have been hiding some buybacks in some of the names we have as it relates to Alpine. And that idea, I think, came from Sun, I think. But anyway, the idea that maybe if Alpine is teetering, they wanted some time to coordinate the pressure. Oh, that's a good point, online entity. How long will this margin call take? You know, a margin call is not as important as the buy-in. It's the kind of margin call. I believe GTII was in the midst of a major margin call when the troops went over to COSM and it went down. That kind of margin call is called a house call. And it can cure itself when the price goes down in the case of GTII. So it removes the pressure on the criminals. A Fed call, which on the retail side is 25%. I don't know what it is. I assume it's the same on the institutional side. Once you go below that, it doesn't matter what the price action does. You still have to come in with that money. So we obviously didn't get to that point with GTII. Yeah, I agree. Hey, little green candle. Well, I don't know how to notify you in advance. Yeah, safely and cheaply in the Midwest until a balloon flies over. Son, I don't know if you'll hear it in 3 weeks, but that's when their agreement together runs out on March 7th. So something like that. So I think it'll be within 4 weeks. And I think what you'll hear is what the terms will be and record dates. But I wouldn't be surprised, and I don't want you to be, thinking I'm, if the squeeze doesn't happen sooner. In other words, the squeeze might happen before the merger can even take effect. AITX. I have no idea on AITX. 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 We used to have his name was Harry Lobsher. He got Lobsher, hello. Lobsher, hello. Hey, Harry, can you give me anything? What do you think on AITX? Well, let's see. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, Billy, I see this. It could go down. There could be a little bit downside to 0.0079. But, Billy, it looks good. It's closing right at the 200-day moving average at a penny, 0.01. If it holds here, and especially if it can close above 0.011, I think, Billy, you could have a run to, let's see, 0.018. Lobsher, hello. Lobsher, hello. And he was always great. You could hear anything there. I don't know anything about AITX, but not knowing nothing, you could make an argument it's headed to 2 cents, and then to 4 cents, and then to 6, 8, and 10. But let me look into that, because I don't know what's behind the rally up. And all it's ever been, I guess, is $1. So, but you would be happy if it got back to 10 cents or 20 cents or 30 cents from here, wouldn't you? And it looks like, God, what an ugly chart before. But it looks like something's up. So I'll have to find out on it. I don't know. I just can't do it right now. Oh, the float's too big. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the MACD looks like shit. But it has broken out. So why? I don't know. Could be a head fake. Oh, the CEO's getting involved with CEO block. Stupid question. It's not a stupid question, particularly since I don't know of any. But at the end of the day, what they do during the day is they can cross things and then claim that we didn't have time to report it, or we lost the ticket, or we had to balance this, and they'll put it in after the market close to affect the price after the close, and to keep buy orders from causing a move during the day. But that becomes all speculation, because everyone accepts their explanation that, well, these were some tickets we found and we had to report it at the end of the day. But I don't think there's any mechanism that they can cross trades. Every trade has to show up on a ledger. I call it time and sales. There might be another name, but everything has to be printed, whether it's printed during the day, if it's trade date today, or right after the end of the close. But you got to have them all printed, and they don't go away. Dennis Burquest, I think the GTII squeeze is, if it's a squeeze, I think is going to go to 4 digits. So I think 3 digits is definitely right. Yeah, CRTD was up very nicely today on good news, but also it's about time. And I think one day you're going to come in and you're going to find that I'm gone. No, one day you're going to come in and it'll be up over $1 at $1.20 or something. GTI started trading, to my memory, at about 15 minutes to 11 is what I remember. And I believe it was trading in the background a little bit, depending on your broker, because I was following the trades. I was seeing trades and I was reporting them. But I misunderstood your question. At about 11:15, to my memory, they dumped all the volume, and all of a sudden it went to 800,000, just like that. But there were trades going on the time and sales that were not showing up on the regular trading. So trading, I think, went on all day. Okay, 1123. All right. I was wrong. Yeah, bid and ask was moving. And it helped us because early in the morning it was like 203 or 205, 202. I've got to get my shoes on so I can walk my dog. I'm going to go get my shoes and put them on. Bakes. That was great. Yeah, 1122 makes sense. I don't remember exactly mine. All I remember as I was talking to, and all of a sudden there was all this volume, and it was a lot of red. A little green candle. Sometimes the big cooking is behind closed door, whether it's making children or making dinner. I agree. I think something's going on. I am not sure that I am hearing confidence in the GTII squeeze. Well, when people ask me to predict movement in GTII, I always add if it squeezes, because absent a squeeze, the stock's not going to go to 1,500 or 2,000. And I just want to make that clear. Otherwise, later on, they'll come back and say, well, you said. But my confidence of GTI having a squeeze is extremely high. And in the bubble of which stock will squeeze, I think GTII has the best chance. Did you ever get that message? No, let me look at it right now. How can they sell CRTD after hours? I don't think that they do sell it after hours. They just print trades that happen during the day. And I'm not giving you something that I knew. I had to ask Ham about that, and he explained it to me. So, because I was all pissed off one day when there was a bunch of volume that drove it down. He said, no, it's legal. It's legal because it's business that happened during the day and they just report it after hours. You won't be my neighbor, Hanging Moss. Any thoughts on the AMC squeeze? There was a lot of volume today, and I've noticed some people that follow AMC, George Donahue, who's good, and a couple others. They're starting to talk about it squeezing, but I just caution you. To me, it's a lot like COSM. Once it gets up, they'll sell stock to the shorts, or they'll just start shorting it back down. And I'm just not totally convinced that it's going to squeeze. But man, if it ever did, I bet it's going to be a big one. Key, there could have been something in the audit that needed an explanation. Maybe one of the lawsuits that they expected to collect on, maybe one of the clients declared bankruptcy or something. I don't know. You can make up anything. It could be that the audit showed that revenues are either higher or lower. I don't know. But as far as I know, unless the audit comes back as a disaster, it just has to pretty much confirm what was represented to GTII, and the deal's done. And I just find it hard to believe that officers of the court are going to misrepresent their numbers. I just don't see it. So I expect it'll be a good audit. I also know that if it's about making a press release, they did one today. Maybe they decided to do that press release today, and then they'll do the audit release maybe Thursday. They've got to coordinate with Wes what their strategy is. When you make announcements, you're not allowed to manipulate shareholders. So you're not allowed to drib and drab it out. Like if you have two things to report, you got to put them at the same time. If they happen separately, you do it separately. But in this instance, I could see a situation where Wes said, you need to get this out. It's important this morning. And maybe they got the audit Friday or Saturday, and the board hasn't had time to digest it and write up a press release, go to the lawyers to have it approved, and then get it out. That can take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days to get done. And I'm not alarmed yet about the audit. I'm not alarmed yet. Who's the who? Yeah, Lucky needs a walk. Yeah, and it's 5:53. Oh, your little grand who. That's nice. That's nice. Kids are the best. You know what I just thought of? We talked all day, but what happened in Turkey last night and this morning is just horrible. Thousands of people are dead. Hundreds of buildings collapsed. So if you think of it, if you're of that kind, you might say a prayer for the people of Turkey. As far as I know, Turkey's one of only two countries that are both in Europe and in Asia, the other being Russia. And, these are really important countries. Turkey's a extremely significant country in human history. And I've had several friends and meet a lot of Turks. They're always good people, kind, gentlemanly, whether female or male. So maybe we should all say prayers for our brethren in Turkey. Still no sound. Are you playing with me, Stephen? I know we need more love in this world in general, and some of us need it specifically. Well, Pete Panaguatis, Giotis, I haven't heard anything further, but my guess is if there's going to be an announcement, it'll be tomorrow. If it's getting to somebody in Boston and they're reporting it, they can't not announce something quickly. Why? Because the longer they put between a rumor out there, it means they told somebody something. They've got to disseminate news to everyone. Of course, the stock's not trading, so it's not as important. We haven't heard about that announcement. No dollar. Yeah, I don't have dollar value either. All right, I'll try to, 4 more minutes, I'll try to make it through because I got to tie my shoes. I've got to, I showed you this book earlier when they asked Ham, which book would you read? I read this book. I ordered it. I didn't put any yellow in it, which I wish I had now. Because one thing, he's right. This is written like a, an honors thesis. I didn't find it that difficult, but it is boring, is basically it. But somewhere in there, she said dividends don't work. That's why Ham always talks about special dividends. Special dividends. And Hamilton now is talking that way. But I'm not sure he knew about it prior to meeting Ham. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about credit. It's just the key part is special dividends. Creating things that the street can't stuff in your account that are false. I'm on the GTII train. I think GTII goes to the moon, Juan. But I've been saying that for almost 2 years. And that's one reason why I actually have more confidence in, what's the stock symbol, TMRW? Just kidding, Tom. Yeah, I probably will be. I might not come on right at the opening because I wanted to do some things today that I didn't get done. But I have more confidence in GTII because Ham and there's people close to GTII, you don't know their name. They're working their butt off. And there's the GTI army and there's investors. There's so many people dedicated to making this happen. And it's gone on for 2 years. I don't think it can last much longer because I don't think the Kramers have the staying power, and it's clear that Alpine's in trouble. So how much longer can it last? All right, one more minute. One more minute. All right, lucky boy. Then we'll go. That's a heck of a stock chart, AITX. That really is something. Tommy needs to get the Duke back in this. Who's saying that the Duke isn't? But you're right. Somebody, by the way, nice afro. I wanted to calculate that. But if you assume 300 million shares have been counterfeited in GTII over the last 2.5, 3 years, and you use Ham's number, my number is lower, but if you use Ham's number of 75 cents, it's too complicated. No, that's $225 million worth of cash that's gone into accounts to settle trades to buy. It's $225 million. What's in your account? Where did the $225 million go? A lot of it's in these, but where'd the rest of it go? That's real money. That's called theft. That's not synthetic shares. That's not naked short. That's counterfeiting. It's theft. He's got zoomies. All right. I'm going to give Lucky a hug when he lets me. He only lets me do it when he comes up to me. Otherwise, I can't do it. I will. All right, guys. Cheers. Cheers, mate. Money's hidden in northern Canada. Actually, did you know that balloon that came over, the fuselage, was as big as a jet? Mario. Peace. Mario. This is hundreds of billions of dollars. It's risky. There's a lot of risk. I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. So anyway, we'll see you. We'll see you in the AM. Thank you very much, you guys, everybody. Thanks for keeping me on the straight and narrow. All right, Lucky, we're going to go. So, peace, love, and happiness.